Hello, knitters and crocheters from Leicester and Leicestershire. This is the video number 2. Offer a hug, knit a square per week. And we straight away jump into the tutorial. Last week, I left you with the cast on and the garter stitch. This week, I'm gonna do the cast off. We are going to do another cast on for the second square, and we're gonna learn the purl stitch. So that's going to be the first part of the video. The second part's going to be about what happened since the last video and the progress about this group. Let's go, let's do it. So you have, hopefully, a square looking a little bit like that, maybe better. So same, both sides, which won't be the same for today's stitch. So how do I cast off? How do I get this lovely little square off my needle? You remember that every stitch is from the first stitches except the first row, but the first stitch we didn't knit it. We are going to work the first stitch this time. So you go behind the non-dominant needle. So you pick in the loop, you pick in your first stitch, and you knit it as we learned. You pass the yarn, and you come out underneath. You do the same for the second stitch. So far, nothing new. It's now that's going to change. You're going to pass the first stitch over the second stitch. And you end up with one stitch on your needle, your dominant hand. I carry on. I noticed on the editing, on the video, that I wasn't in frame last time. I was down there, so I'm going to try to improve every day a bit better. So, pick in the stitch, go behind the non-dominant hand, pass your yarn, and come back out again from underneath. And again, the first stitch goes over the second stitch. Again, I knit the following stitch like we seen last week, and I pass the first stitch over the second stitch. Again, knit over the second stitch. Feel free again to pause and rewind if needed. I knit the next stitch and pass over the second stitch. I knit the next stitch and I pass the first stitch over the second stitch. I knit and I pass the first stitch over the second stitch. I was thinking about putting a little heart in the middle of my board. So in other words, if you don't see the little heart, that means I'm in frame. So it's an idea. Oh my goodness. I'm wobbling. And I pass the first stitch over the second stitch. I was thinking about quote about knitting and crochet from authors, yarn quote, yarn jokes. If you have any, please share them on the private group. I believe there's some. I'm still learning. I believe there's some questions to answer to get to be a member of the private group. And I've done something wrong here. What is going on? Right, nearly there, and then we're gonna pass on to our second little square. So you learn to cast on, and you learn the garter stitch, which is the first stitch I learn. I wonder who my mum learned from, because I don't see my grandmother knitting. That's the next a conversation I'll have with my mum next time I speak to her. That could be interesting. Where from did she get her knitting skill? I'm getting to the end of my my yarn, because obviously I prepared this ahead. So I knit the stitch, pass the yarn. So I've got 2 stitches on my needle. You can't see what I'm doing. I pass the first stitch over the second stitch, and I end up with that. So how do I do this now? I pull slightly. Where is my yarn? Like this. And right, so you've got a loop, and you pass the yarn in the stitch. There we go. And you've got your first little square. Let's have a look. It's 11.5, and there's 25 stitches here, so maybe 20 would have been enough. I'm not undoing it, because with the border we can cheat. Don't tell anybody, but we can cheat. Right, we can make it work. So that's number 1 little guy. For the purpose of tutorial, I feel like I'm gonna keep it in a book and write my comments and my process of tutorial, because I'm learning a lot as well. I think I will keep it in a book of 52 weeks, 52 pages. I want to also knit squares and make a collection of squares that eventually we will assemble, and the border will be one of the techniques as well when we when we reach the 52 weeks. So that's square number 1. So that was the cast off. I hope you're all right with it. Again, use the private group to comment, to show your progress. And I don't want you to worry. I want that private group to be a safe space to express yourself. I just want to have encouragement. You know, we're all learning. We all have our first time. In other words, if you've got nothing nice to say, keep it quiet. Just send a thumbs up. That doesn't mean that all the thumbs up are from people who can't say something nice, so they can't say anything. Don't. Let's not be like this. Okay, square number 2. I did some homework and I started it to give you an idea, and the pen is falling down, to give you an idea, a visual of what it's going to be. Purl stitch looks like this. Do you see the V's? But it curls. That's why we do ribs. Like, this is not wool, but we do this a little, let's say 5 row, to avoid the curliness. Yeah. So that's the one side. That's the other side. So there is 2 stitches in that process. There's the garter stitch, the knitting, that's what we've been doing, and the purl stitch. So I'm going to undo this to cast on for you. Let's measure this. Your measurement will change because of the stitch. Your measurement will change because of the size of your needle. Your measurement will change because of the thickness, the density of your wool. As we've seen earlier, my 10 centimeter square is 11.5. Don't be too strict. If you do 10.5, 11, let it go. It's supposed to be a mindful process. See, I've got, okay, if I do it like this, I've got 10. If I measure the fabric itself, I've got 9. So I won't touch it. I'm going to leave it like that. I'm going to count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, and I'm going to stick to this. I hope that makes sense to you. And again, make it yours. Do your way. I only share what I'm doing. I never have the pretension to be a perfect knitter. What do you say in English? You frog it. Or you unravel it. If you speak other languages, please share this vocabulary. Different words in different languages. So let's go casting again. And I like my little needles. So we recap, we revisit the long tail cast on. So I go around my thumb, my non-dominant thumb, and I use my working yarn. I've got my long tail on the left, and I did take a length of about an arm length. Let's keep it an arm length. So for new people, I wrap my finger with the yarn. I go over the yarn with my needle, and I go behind my thumb, and I pass the yarn between the needle and my thumb, and I come out. You have a loop there. Just, can I say underneath my thumb? And that's 1. So I go for 17. Make it yours. So wrap my thumb, go behind my thumb, put the yarn between the needle and my thumb, and come out in that loop, and that's 2. Wrap my thumb behind the thumb, put my yarn between the needle, and I go. You see that here. I think the most difficult is that bit. see where you come out here. Here. Let me know how long it takes you to make a square. Or how long do you spend every day to finish a square? If you decide to do, right, I'm going to do 15 minutes before I go to sleep. I've got, whether you time yourself or you have school run, or what context, when do you knit? Do you knit when you're stressed? Do you knit when you wait? Do you have a craft, on-the-go craft bag? I used to have a rover. I love the sound of rovers and the wood inside a car. But every time, so I would leave the house. If I had to stop, I would have to wait 20 minutes for the engine to cool down to start again. So at the time, I had a craft on the go bag, and I always had something to do, crochet, knitting. And that was one way to knit. Right, let's see how many stitches have I got. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17 et 17. Right, so that's your long tail cast off done. Right, so that's your tail. Too long, but it doesn't matter. And now we're going to start. Let's start with the garter stitch, what we need. So we knit. The garter stitch, it's knit. So I knit the first stitch because it's the first time, it's the first row. So picking the stitch, pass your yarn in the between the two needles and come out underneath the leg of your stitch. And take this video where you are at. Oops. Pick in the stitch, pass the yarn between the needle, come out underneath the leg of the stitch. Right, I'm going to do another one. I won't do another one. I'm going to turn my work so we reach the end of the stitch, and you see the V's. That's knit. That's what we did for the garter stitch all the way. And here you see the purl, the little bumps. So now we're going to purl because we've got little bumps. So I pass on that stitch because I did it. I've done it. So I slip it on the needle. My yarn is forward. Yeah. So instead of going underneath the leg of the stitch behind the needle, I go over from the top, going down in front of the needle. So far we knitted, we went in the stitch from bottom behind the needle. This time we're going to go from the top in front of the needle. and we're going to pass the yarn between the dominant hand needle and the non-dominant hand. That's one stitch. From the top, in front of the needle, pass yarn and back. I do it again. The front, from the top, pass my yarn to the back. The front of the needle from the top, behind the leg of the, in the stitch, I pass my yarn and back. And decompose it again. From the top, between the leg, in the stitch, but at the front of the needle. Pass my yarn. Sketching on the structure to hold the phone. I've got I don't know how something you can bend to hold the phone. A bendy arm. And it's catching with my needle. It doesn't matter. I hope that's good enough for you. So that's the purl stitch. Hey, you're learning another techniques, and we are at the end of the row. So what you've got to remember is bump. You work at the front of the front of the needle. So you turn your work. Vise. You work at the back of the needle. I did say I'm not knitting this. Just for the sake of having a nice little edge. We'll see at the end whether it's true or not. So I'm doing the garter stitches. Here, I'm knitting. And my knit make a V. And my purl make a bump. I tend to pull on my work. That's maybe why it's a bit bigger than 10 centimeters. Right, so what happens since I'm going to start. Okay, so I don't need the first stitch. I don't work the first stitch. I just slip it on the needle. And I'm going to pass my yarn over so my yarn is forward. I should have done that earlier. So I work at the front of this needle, get in the stitch, pass my yarn, and at the back. Work at the front of this needle, in the stitch, pass my yarn at the back. Yeah, since the first video, I saw my frame that I wasn't always in frame. I'm conscious of it. I'm mindful of it. I created a private group. I annoyed a lot of people. The video got edited. The video is now on YouTube, and I got the first lady who saw the video and left a comment, and she was Yvette. So thank you very much, Yvette. she was surprised by the long tail cast on. It's my mum. I'm aware of at least two other methods of casting on, but that's my mum, and I want to say it's my to-go one. It's not. It's the one. It's the one I'm just using. That's the one I learn. That's the truth. So now we're gonna do knit. I won't do too many. If I do 1, 2, 3, 4, we have 5 done. I'm gonna do 3 more, and I'm gonna let you go on your way. So the first stitch slipped on the needle, and we do knit the V's, knit the V's, purl the bump. So behind the needle, behind the needle, behind the needle, picking the stitch behind the needle, and you come out at the front. Behind the needle, come out at the front. Behind the needle, pass your yarn, come out of the front. There is a square where we're gonna measure the speed we're knitting at, but not yet. So I'm back with my purl, today's stitch. So you can slide you can slip your stitch on the needle has purl, so that put the yarn on the front straight away. So in front of the needle, pass the yarn, and I come out at the back. In front of the needle, pass the yarn at the back. Front of the needle, et je continue, and I carry on, sorry. Yeah, I think my frame is slightly better today. I still go. Don't know if it's too far for you. So I purl the bump and I knit the V's. So eventually there will be a location to meet, to collect, and to pick up. To collect what? To collect what? To collect to drop and pick up. To drop the square that has been made, ready to assemble. To pick up wool or even needles. To drop wool and needles and crochet if some of you, so I carry on, knit, have extra, even scrap of wool, needles that you change your set and you don't know what to do with them. And there's location to meet, to chat, to knit together, to have a cuppa all around Leicester and Leicestershire, but that will come. I'm waiting for the people to get on board, to get pictures on the private group of the work who's been the work who's been achieved already. So for the newcomers, welcome. And this video has for purpose to offer people to learn and knit. Not everybody has a grandmother, an auntie, or a mother. So slip the stitch, the first stitch on the other needle has to purl. And so your yarn is forward. So front of the needle, pass the yarn and come out at the back. Not everybody has a mother, an auntie or a grandmother to learn to teach. Some of you learn at the university from a friend. Some of you learn by YouTube. Some of you learn by a book. So it's, yeah, a choice, sharing something. And do a good cause as well. So the purpose is to learn a new skill, to knit or crochet. Crochet will come later. So we'll have squares of knitting, squares of crochet. Doesn't matter because the border will absorb all that. Yeah, I had to knot my yarn, but that's okay. I keep going. There we go. The knot will appear on the bump side, not the V side. Okay. I don't want this video to be more than 30 minutes. So we're getting to the end now. So yes, for the newcomers, to learn a new skill, to meet like-minded people, to meet them, to be part of a cause. This cause is homelessness. It's to gather square, to assemble blankets, and to offer minimum one blanket at the end of the 52 weeks. Or let's say, we'll see how it goes. We have a track to follow, but we can bend the track. We can stretch it. At least we've got a goal, a focus. But I want you to take what you want from it. I want to make it yours. If you feel like knitting squares, even if it's all in garter stitch, go for it. I was even thinking about the design. It can be 20 centimeters square or 5 centimeters square, because then when we assemble the blanket, we can play with the size, we can play with the colors. So I would say the base, knit a square, 20, and then, I mean, I wanted to do the rainbow colors, but I realized I haven't got orange. So far, black, you've got the contract, black and red, and that's fine. We stick to this. And for me, that's about it. I'm just going to add an extra 2 row maybe, but I'm going to send you on your way, enjoying your weekend. And I'll see you on the next video. Please share your work on the private group, the private group. The picture of the private group is me. You see me my hands knitting a scarf in Doctor Who style. Maybe we'll have an opportunity. Share what you have on your needle at the minute, you know. I don't expect you to only knit 10 centimeters squares. Right, I'm going to do one more purl. So I turn my work. Shall we measure it? Right, so he says, yeah, I've got 10 centimeters when I measure the stitch. But when I measure the fabric, it's 9. So here we go. Here we go. 10 centimeters there. And I'm happy with that. So slip the stitch on the other needle purl-wise. And in front of the needle, pass your lane and come out of the back. Come out of the back. I said 5 centimeters, 5 stitches, 5 centimeters, because it's a lot of concentration when you learn a new skill. And if you feel like, oh yeah, but my square are not perfect, I miss a stitch, there's a hole, it's triangle, it's not square, it doesn't matter. If you want to keep it, you know. Join this project where how it talks to you, how you takes what you want out of it. Take what you want out of it. I think I knitted this stitch and I shouldn't have. Right, I'm gonna finish. I want to do one more purl stitch and then I'll let you go. I hope the cast off was all right. As you can see, I can't shut up. Let me know if you'd rather me chatty or me quiet once you've got your instructions. And I bet both gonna be, no, we like when you're quiet and we like when you're chatty. Haha. Right, one more row purl. So slip the stitch as if to purl. So you've got your yarn at the front and purl front of the needle and come out at the back. If you feel like one square is not enough for your process of learning the stitch, do 2. When you learn, it's about practice and quantity. And enjoy the process, please. If it's too much, put it down. Do something else. Come back to it. Right. That's it for me. It's been more than half an hour. We'll see when the video is edited. I'm going to wish you a good weekend and enjoy your naughty knotting, because knitting, it's a form of making different knots. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.